I guess what I'm going to do here is basically a little game of names speed round. I'm not going to do much about RFK because his initials actually explain most of it. If you just think R as in a reference, active here or reoccurring, F as in form, force, or familiar, K as in kinetic or actively active. He sure does seem to be in the middle of a lot of things all of a sudden, and the family name that he has a lot to do with it. Kennedy, kinetic, expressed notion between two ends or notion upon itself, expressed to and from vital identity. So then when you put everything together, you could look into everything about his name and his birthday, but I'm not going to bother with him because I have him in another episode. But just recently, after I put out the food video about a week and a half ago, these guys come on, they do a big speech in the world, and they're talking about how foul all the food industries are. And we have Bernie Sanders. Here's Bernie Sanders. Base, expressed, reference, notion, identified, expressed. And then Sanders, subject, ander, or subject, active, notion, to and from, expressed, referent, subject. He's not the guy who's really known for much. He's just been around, lingering for quite a long time. And his initials are BS. I'm not saying these guys are bad, but I'm also saying we don't need them in our lives in order to make good decisions. It's all a puppet show. Did you not know that the foods were toxic, or did you need these people to say it? Give me a break. Either way, is it a coincidence that one of the only people that they really referred to or talked to in this specific interview was a guy, and mind you, this is about obesity and the health of people, and the guy's name is Tuberville. Senator Tuberville. Plus, unit, base, expressed reference, vital identity, two L's as it lies upon itself, expressed. And he's a guy that they're interviewing or debating back and forth with about information having to do with obesity and how it's running rampant in our country. You think this is all just to be funny? Do you think they plan all of it? No. And if they do, that's some of it. But I've been showing you a lot more than even these specific people have anything to do with. So that's enough for those guys. Since I'm doing a speed round, I'm sort of just flipping through my phone and finding whatever people I have in a row. And this one happens to have RFK involved, but it's not the same story. It happens to be a man named Mark McAfee, and he is at the bottom of a recall on raw milk. Well, this guy is suggested to apply as the FDA advisor, and RFK's involved. Pretty interesting. Weird. Let's stop drinking cow milk in the first place. Don't need it, but that's besides the point. This guy's name is Mark McAfee. M-A-R-K, the Manifest Act Reference Kinetic. Now, when you take something that's a mark of something, and then you say McAfee, M-C-A-F-E-E, of active form expressed upon itself. So you already have a mark of an active form, or MC, that's why I say of. Mark, manifest constant to itself, active form, force, or familiar, expressed upon itself. So you couldn't be more of. A-F-E-E is very first tense, which I call once. A-F-E-E, active form expressed upon itself. And it's the mark of that. Mark of a manifest concept, active form expressed upon itself. And he's from Fresno, and his name being Mark McAfee, from where? Fresno. What is the word Fresno? If it's raw and possibly contaminated, is it fresh? No, it's F-R-E-S-N-O, Fresno. Fresno. That shit ain't fresh. I don't think that's funny, but look how magical the world is. Just like the other guy's name is Tuberville, and they're talking about heavy people in the country. Seriously, guys. Is the universe not beautiful? Now let's stop letting clowns run our lives, and whether or not they know they're being clowns, they are. I definitely don't need to watch these people on TV to know how to act in the world, and I know many of you don't either. So therefore, it is unnecessary. It's just wasting time, and everyone else is still defending that they need it. It's pathetic. We've got to do something about it. So, this is a speed round. Let's keep going. Okay, these people aren't celebrities, but they happen to be people about going green and health of the atmosphere and things like that. And we have a person named Rosie Barnes, who's a clean energy engineer. Now think of the name Rosie as in Something rising. Reference ongoing subject identified expression. And then Barnes, base airness or base active reference, notion or nature, expressed subject. And she's a clean energy engineer. See how I'm saying? These are names, but they are always going to resonate with what the person ends up doing or where they are at any specific point in time when you name what they're doing. I promise you, this applies to everything. Always will. Another person on that same video, when it got into the food and health section, was a woman named Gemma Newman. First of all, if you know the word gamma, it's associated with the fastest brain waves. It's not green like the Hulk. Gamma has no color. We just give it colors to associate. And why? Because it's where the most growth can happen. It's where things can happen the best, in the green. Her name is Gemma, so it's not gamma. But as I've said before, A is to activate, E is to express. And if you know what a gem is, it's something that sparkles or something that is precious. And if you know what emerald is, it's green. So we have Gemma, Emma, emerald, and then we also have gem, and we have gamma, but Gemma. Do you see how this all goes together with a person who talks about green energy being the best thing for people to take into their body? No, how about instead we listen to a guy who wants you to drink raw milk from another animal that we end up using until it has nothing left to give, and then chop it up into pieces and eat it. Please, where's your brain at? And where's your heart at? I'm just asking you right now, do you think that you're going to get something healthier from fruits, vegetables, plants, grains that grow from the sun and the minerals? Or do you think you're going to get something that's a salty piece of bacon? Or something like a big, juicy, greasy burger slathered with melty cheese that came from the nipple of a female animal? Just where is your mind at? Don't let people mislead you, please. Now for Gemma Newman, she happens to be a medical practitioner, a nutritionist, and an author. So, Gemma, generated and grouped, expressed, manifest upon itself, active, and then Newman, but Newman, notion or nature, expressed plural, manifest, active, notion or nature. Notice she's a nutritionist, a medical doctor, and an author. Do you see how all three of those things apply to her? But she's on something talking about health and education about health and nutrition, named Gemma Newman. Another person on the same video was Dr. Vincent Walsh, and he's an entrepreneur and an environmental scientist. So now you have somebody with a vital identified notion or nature, constant to itself or unseen, expressed nature plus, or notion plus. Walsh, plural, active, as it lies, or the base, subject, constant to itself or unseen, here. And he's an environmental scientist, plural, active, as it lies, subject, constant to itself, here. An environmental scientist, plural, active, as it lies, subject, unseen, constant to itself, here. I said it 3 times so you can see what I'm saying, and he's an environmental scientist, studying the underside of science. And he's got SC, and then H at the end of that, but SC and plural AL. And then science is SCIENCE. If you don't see, Vincent has the other letters of the word science. It's just weird for people to see that and not understand, so I just don't try to explain it to them. They won't get it. They'll be like, oh, that's coincidental. And I say, it is not. Either way, we'll do a couple more, and that'll be it for this speed round. Well, it has started to rain a little harder, and I do apologize for any of the background noise. As well as this next person in our speed round game of names. By no means do I mean any insult. I mean no disrespect. But I want to show that names are always right. And I happen to be, like I've said, the only person who understands this. This man was just shot and killed recently, and he was the CEO of an insurance company. If you look at his name and birthday, okay, being a CEO of an insurance company, this isn't something by nature, because that's not natural. That's a notion. So when you say his name, Brian Robert Thompson, not to be funny in any way whatsoever, but if anyone has heard of the company Thompson's Water Seal, Thompson is a plus here ongoing manifestation, potential, subject ongoing notion or nature. Now with Water Seal, you're trying to keep the water out. So it's literally plus here ongoing manifestation in place, subject ongoing nature, to keep the water out. So if you put something before that, when you're talking about a person's name, now you go into their life details, because this is a living person, not just a product from that name. It's base, reference, identified, active, notion. With that, the reference ongoing, base expressed reference, plus, then you say, plus here ongoing manifestation, potential, subject ongoing notion. Being the CEO of an insurance company, which is an imaginary idea of security, when truly, guys, the way that you have health insurance is by growing your own food and knowing what the hell you put in your mouth. The biggest issue in our world right now is we have adults walking around like little children who don't know how to feed themselves properly, who eat a bunch of junk and feed it to their kids and say, you got to give it to them because they like it. That is the most immature response, and I get it from almost everybody I say something to. I ask them, if your children matter to you, why are you giving them this? Because they like it. What's more important, a child who doesn't understand and their preference, or an adult who does understand about health and who wants their child to be healthy? What's more important there? Well, they got to enjoy it. They can enjoy a lot of other things besides junk. And it should be the parent to be the one watching out for the kid, not being the one who gives them the largest amount of the poisons. Anyway, to finish him off, God bless and rest in peace. His birthday was July 7, which is generated and grouped. 10th, J, intense, identified ongoing, or J coming into tense. 1974, to subject the generated and grouped dia, to and from. So what would you do with that? If he's a person that has a generated and grouped something, and we're talking about a notion now, intense, what's the thing that everybody uses out there in the world? We tend to it. We call it tender. Generated and grouped, 10, J, and then 19, subject, 74, generated and grouped, to and from, dia. You can't tell me that you don't understand how that makes insurance and a person who is in charge of insurance with his name and his birthday put together. If you don't see it, ask me some questions because I can go deeper into it, but it doesn't matter if people don't take it seriously, and I'm not trying to disgrace anybody or be disrespectful. I'm just showing that this actually does mean what I've been saying for all these years. And believe it or not, I know when something like this is going to happen, but I don't look into it because if I did that, every person in this world is a family member of mine that I don't want to see harm being done to. And every person in this world is having some level of harm done to them, whether it's them doing it on purpose, them doing it through not knowing, or other people harming them for benefit, whether it's through money on some crappy product or getting them sick so they can cooperate with the system that benefits from your sickness and your inability to think for yourself outside of the crowd. I think I got 2 or 3 more, and we'll finish off the speed round. To do the full circle on the Brian Thompson case, I guess I should do Luigi Mangione. As many know, Luigi is of course the secondary guy to Mario, but just think of the word Luigi as in when something is Lu, as it lie, unit, identified, generated and grouped, identified. The L is then moving out to a U, so it's like you're the secondary of something, because then you say IGI, identified, generated, identified. So see how that's just like the secondary, or my brother, the brother, Luigi. So then he's indicated with green even on that, just because he's the green one. He's the secondary, not the best, but the secondary. But then you say Mangione, just thinking manifest, active, notion, or nature, generated identity, ongoing, notion, expressed. So man, and then if you take the I, move it out of there, it's man gone. When you think about how he's the guy who's the shooter in this case, and Mangione is almost like to mangle, or mind gone when you associate it with him, all of those things actually tied together with why that story pieces itself together in the universe for everyone to see. And then with his birthday being May 6th, expressing force, or expressing form, or expressing familiar. And he was born 1998, which is subject identity here. The second identity, subject identity here. And Luigi is the brother, second guy. And then Mangione, to mangle, and mind gone, and man identified gone. With that all put together, Gioni. See what I mean? It's all magically happening, and no disrespect to any of the people involved. They can help it because they're not their name. But since we're so out of control, we're almost controlled by the universe. I don't want to say it like that because that makes it just sound too hard for people to understand. We are controlled by ourselves, but most people aren't thinking. Their attachment to the way that they're living their life is an attachment that is coming from outside them all the time. And they've never actually detached from that to be at one with what they are inside. And that is so important. That has nothing to do with any of these guys here. And I think I'll do one more guy and move on. That's why I haven't been doing these game and name things, because I just don't want to talk about breaking down names anymore. This is all too much for me. Like I said, it's like I've seen all of this before. All of it. And I don't know how to explain that to people except for, see, it all just adds up, man. We've got to just start acting correctly and not needing babysitters. I mean, I don't want to say it like that, but I don't want to shoot each other and blow each other away. I'm not looking for a war of the world. The world doesn't have to be anything like that. But it seems like that's what people want. Happily. And that's not a good sign. But I'm not afraid to die, so what? What are you going to do? Come blow me away? I have nothing to fight for if that's how people want to be, honestly. I don't know anybody right now that would fight for themselves except for maybe one or two. And I would go side by side with them, I guess. Why not? That's what we're here for, to do what we can do to make this world better, aren't we? Or are we here to be assholes? I know I'm not going to do that, so maybe I'm just counted out from now on. If not, let's do something better. One last person. As the rain comes down more, we'll finish off with another thing that's make-believe in the first place. J.G. Wentworth. 877 cash now! 877 cash now! Remember those old commercials? Well, just think. 877, yeah, it's universal, but that's here, generated upon itself, and then you hyphen it to something else, cash now. Here, generated and grouped upon itself, cash now. That's just ironic. And then you say JG, intense, generated and grouped, Wentworth, the people that want to bring you the money faster instead of waiting for the term. And then the people who actually came up with it were two different guys, one named James, one named Gary. So that's where you get JG. You have James D. Delaney and Gary Valorik. First of all, I really want you to try to take into consideration how I've said this goes down as if we're still in the woods. All the words, all the spells, all the magic is still just as prevalent as it always has been. We're just inside of boxes with all these computers thinking that we're high tech. And we're not nearly as high tech as the universe itself is. So here we go. James D. Delaney. Intense, active manifest express subject. James is like the word times. Times. T is a spun J when you do that little lowercase t with the hook on it, or if you just look at a T being up to the top line and a J being the middle line. J is 10, T is 20. James is the junction of ams, like the thing that's happening. You know, James. What jam expressed subjects, the happening at the moment. The not just the times, the ams, the right now. Then you would say that, and then you would say D, his middle initial, to and from, or dia, Delaney. And if you look into old terms, you can use some of these old definitions to see where they get it from. The name Delaney is supposedly supposed to mean from the alder tree grove. Okay, from the tree grove. Think about what we're getting. Money. From the alder tree grove, and Delaney, from the land. To and from, D-E-L-A-N-E-Y. Dia expressed as it lies, active notion or nature, expressed vital identity. So you take something from nowhere or take something from the trees, from the woods, from the alder grove. And then James, right now at this time, to and from, Delaney. And then when you say Gary Valorik, vital, L, the bovine god, the ground. Auric, when you talk, E-L, so vital expressed as it lies, ongoing reference, identified, constant to itself. So when you say Gary before that, to generate or group the active reference vital identity. Then you put that on there, the vital EL, bovine god of the land, or vital expressed as it lies, ongoing reference, identified constant to itself. With Gary before that, those two guys are the ones who started a company that gets you your money back faster. J.G. Wentworth. You see how all this really does fit together? I figured I'd finish it off with something not so serious because of the last one. Death isn't funny. None of this stuff is funny, but the universe is beautiful. So I'm going to leave it at that. I wanted to at least finish it off with somewhat of a speed round kind of idea. So, peace out and God bless.